There's a lot of 2K news that is starting to bubble up to the surface. Brian Williams, the head developer over at 2K, has been doing the interview rounds, and we got a ton of details, a lot of great confirmations, and a lot of stuff that just maybe kind of go, ah, that's too bad. So one of the first things is going to be that there are no mid-card women's championships added into the game on launch. The United States and Intercontinental women's titles will not be there. Now, Brian Williams did a couple of different interviews. I have them linked into the description if you guys want to check them out. So please do go subscribe to them, hit the like button, all that good stuff, help out the rest of the community. Brian mentioned how there's not going to be these titles because of the timeline of when they were coming into WWE and what's involved in actually getting the title belts. It's not just putting them into regular exhibition. They have to update all the graphics, the announcing, they have to add in for my GM, they have to account for universe mode and everything in between. However, the good news is that he did say, in a matter of words, that we might be looking at them being added in post-launch as a patch, which is not unheard of. They have done this with even NXT. If you guys remember back in, I think 2K22, they had the updated NXT arena that came in as just freebie after the game came out because they changed the NXT arena. I do find it a little odd when you look at things like, and I have no idea how hard things are with game development, but the new SmackDown and Raw arenas are there and they came out after the titles. So maybe there's just more logistics and more pieces involved when trying to get these belts. Now I know what majority of people are saying out there, dummy. You just create them community creations, who cares? I agree, you can just go in there and create them day one, but you know what? I'm optimistic that they will get added in as part of a patch. Okay, you know fighting stances where they're jipping and jiving, they're doing this the whole time and everyone hates it? Those are kind of gone. Brian said in the interview that they only get activated during face-offs, which I gotta get my hands on the game to know, is that just when two people are just gonna stand there and idle and stand next to each other and then it's gonna do it, or is it like gotta get activated, or it's only the beginning of the match? You know what I mean? So they have changed this. There's less of it. I think that's kind of the big takeaway. When it comes to universe mode, my GM, even creation suite to an extent, Brian did say across multiple interviews that that's just not elements of the game in the areas that he touches or that he wants to speak on, because he'll let those developers, those people speak for themselves with that part of the game. So we didn't get really anything when it comes to universe mode, which I'm like, ah, that's too bad. I was hoping to hear a little bit of something. We know that we're gonna get 2-night PLE options, and we know that promos are back. With community creations, there's no cross-platform community creations between old gen and current gen. So you play on a PS4, you're not going to be able to upload, download community creations that are on PS5. This is starting to break away a lot of the different consoles and even the PC players. So it feels like they're segregating, or they're splitting at least, how it's going to be Xbox Series S, Series X, PS5. They have their own world of community creations. Last gen has theirs, and PC does as well. I mentioned universe mode, how we didn't really get any big details. Brian did say that unfortunately show intros, they're not coming back this year. It's a small thing. I know that, like, I look at the comments in the community, people rave about it and they're like, I want it back, and I'm of the mindset of like, well, it's something that people want, then like, yeah, why not? It was in the games before, bring it back. It adds more authenticity to your universe, and also why not just have it in there as a toggle option, turn it on, turn it off. Maybe they found that nobody was really using it, that it's a vocal minority, but if it's something that players are, you know, they're pretty adamant they want to see have added back to the game, I mean, why not just have it in as a toggle feature? Announcers. So Samantha Irvin is not going to be in the game. We have Mike Rome and Alicia Taylor. They are going to be the two ring announcers. Lillian Garcia came back late. Makes sense that they can't exactly get dialogue lines from her. Maybe it's something that they will look at doing next year. Depends. I have no idea what Lillian Garcia's contract is with WWE, but we're still getting the old commentary booth of 3-man booth, brother. And we got now 2 announcers. Brian did say that their commentary team updates are going to be planned, but it's not going to happen this year. Now on the Pro Wrestling Shoot podcast, Jesse did an awesome job with Brian, and he asked one of the questions that Matt has been asking for a very long time. Will I be able to grab the ring bell and or the title belt ringside? Son of a bitch, I can't. It's still not an option. I'm very disappointed in that. It's a quality of life. It's a little thing. Why can I grab a bottle of Prime from the Prime station and just the thing over here in like a jug, but I can't grab a title belt? Doesn't make sense to me. Hopefully it's going to be in the next game. Okay, the island. Servers, the whole shebang. Brian very much just talked about how give the island a chance. That was kind of his thing. He said that there's a lot of effort that goes into making this, and that he's excited for it, the team's excited for it, that players can get their hands on it. He said that they wouldn't do it if they didn't feel like it was going to be a lot of fun and benefit players. I still am like, hey, I'll wait and see when this thing comes out, if it's worth playing, or is it going to be just littered with microtransactions? And that's a big concern, and a valid one that I think players have, especially like if you are on the NBA 2K side. I see players like that all the time in my comments in the community saying, hey, you guys watch out, you're gonna get slapped in the face with microtransactions and stuff. I'm wait and see. If it's good, it's good. If it's fun, if it's got a hook in there and it's not really forcing me and making me want to go and spend real money for things, and maybe we're going to be okay. And if it has longevity, if there's enough to do. Brian also mentioned in the interviews how there's going to be better servers. This was addressed, I believe, by Just Brian and his podcast. He asked about the servers and how it is an issue. Brian Williams did mention, it's like, hey, yeah, we know that this is a big problem. They have tested it. You're gonna have a lot of players in the lobby. So again, a wait and see with the island. Not hearing much about universe mode and my GM, that makes me kind of hesitate a little bit. That's the right word to use, because if it's not being addressed now, then when? I understand hyping up all of the big match types, which unfortunately it doesn't sound like there's going to be anything else in terms of match types. The underground does look like fun, looks exciting. It's something new and different. Intergender matches, it's a big thing that people have wanted for a long time. They've added that in. And of course, we all have our lists of like I do too, of like every match type that I want to see in the game, and it's not going to be there. It is what it is. But when there's no conversation yet around and we're so close to launch of like, okay, universe mode, what's happening? Show it to us, give us the nitty gritty. Same with my GM, because those are two modes that I play a ton and I want to see what's new, different, how it works, what's better, rivalries, rivalry actions, promos, how does it work? All of that good stuff. Same with my GM, knowing what is the depth of that mode now? Is it going up to 6 players? Are we still capped at 4? What's the calendar like? Are we going to be able to have Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, and so on? A lot of question marks. But I understand you want to leave stuff to when the game actually comes out. Get your hands on it. But because there is no crazy focus, like for example, Brian was asked in the interviews about story designer. And if that was coming into this year, he said no. And if it was, it would have been a big deal already. Like they would have talked about it by now. So it gives me a little pause in that, okay, maybe universe mode is going to get minor updates. The two things that they're talking about with the PLEs and having promos, maybe that's all we're gonna get for universe mode. And my GM has only been touched on just a little bit with the sizzle reel trailer. I hope to get more of a deep dive to know what fun is going to be in there and what's new. And for other modes like My Faction, touched on just briefly in these interviews, but Brian leaving that info to the My Faction team. Personas we know are making a comeback, but he said there's new and exciting things that they are doing with the Persona cards, Persona models, and how they're going about all of it. So maybe My Faction will be a little bit better. I'm looking more towards like how grindy it is to get Personas, unlock them. The dollar amounts, they need to work that out so that it's not so hyper aggressive and making it pay like literally $400 for rock and a tank top. They need to do more when it comes to My Faction personas to make me want to be able to go in there and grind, get my points, get my faction, my VC and all of that. To get these models, I need the proper entrances, retro entrances, the Retrotrons, the theme musics, like the quality has to be there if you want players to really deep dive this thing. But there was so much more talked about in all of these interviews, so please click the links in the description below. Check out all the creators. Have a great day. See ya.